You doing okay?
You need to come to Texas. That's a good place for to
I'm not loved here in New York, you know.
Oh, that's right.
It's become a big issue. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. They decided that guys like you, that believe like you, maybe ought to hit the road.
No place for people like me here.
Oh, yeah, there are. It's called Texas.
Texas. Yeah. Listen, you know what's...
Or Florida. I give my man Rick Scott. You know, I know you talked about
He took
Florida.
the unemployment rate from 11% to 6%.
When you look across the country, the states that are really doing well, the states that are creating jobs, the red states. It's Bobby Jindal. It's Nikki Haley. It's Rick Scott in Florida. I mean, these governors, you know, Kasich in Ohio. I mean, these are governors that are implementing what I call red state policies, and basically limited government, watching the spending, having tax and regulatory policy that's fair and predictable, legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing, accountable public schools, then get out of the way and let the private sector do what it does best. Those states are getting ahead.
Here's what's amazing about Texas to me. I read this today, report that came out. Texas holds $140 billion in petro wealth. Last time I interviewed you, you told me by 2015 you expect a $15 billion surplus.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, you don't have state income tax.
No, and listen, here's the key to that. Someone asked today, and as we were speaking at a group, they said, you know, how do you pay for your police officers? How do you pay for your fire? How do you pay for the services? And the fact is, you grow your economy into it. I mean, we are the either fourth or fifth lowest tax burden in the country, in the state of Texas.
By the way, you're in the #1 tax burden state in the country, right here in New York.
I know that. That's one of the reasons I'm up here.
getting the hell out of here.
That's one of the reasons I'm up here recruiting businesses.
Are you really?
Absolutely.
I don't blame you. Good for you.
We don't ever go. You fish where the fish are, right?
Right.
That's why we're here.
Hey, why wouldn't Wall Street one day pack up and say we're sick of it?
Go to Dallas, Texas.
Go to Dallas, Texas. Yeah. Go to Houston. Don't go to Austin.
You will. Well, you can go to a multitude of places. The energy capital of the world is Houston, Texas. I mean, without a doubt, that's where it is. The financial centers should certainly be in Dallas, Texas. The technology epicenter of the world could be the next Silicon Valley. Could be in Austin, Texas. All of those are potentials and possibles, and frankly, reality in a number of those areas in the state of Texas. And every state competes with each other, Sean. I mean, that's our story out there. Whether we, you know, go into California, which I was in last week, and talk to the folks there. Listen, if you want to live in a state that has high taxes, if you want to live in a state that's got a regulatory climate that is very burdensome, if you want to live in a state that, you know, has huge, strong, powerful unions that are impacting negatively how your kid's education is going to turn out, you can live in New York or California.
The New York Daily News had a series they ran last week. 1 in 5 kids in New York need food assistance. 1 in 6 adults need food assistance. Now think about this. You have a 40% federal income tax, 10% state income tax. You got city taxes. You got county taxes. You got the highest property taxes in Westchester, Nassau County in the entire country, and they still can't. Still more people are in poverty.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? What are they doing wrong that the 10 states that are creating jobs are doing right? Why did 3.5 million people leave New York?
Well, Richard Fisher basically said, who's the head of the Fed in Dallas, he said if you took out all the middle-class jobs from America that were created in Texas, you'd be underwater in that sector. Wow. Middle-class jobs. And the lesson in this is pretty straightforward to me, is if you will empower people, people long for freedom, freedom from overtaxation, freedom from over-litigation, freedom from over-regulation. If you will free them from that, then the jobs will be created. We shouldn't be having a conversation about the minimum wage. We ought to be having a conversation about the maximum wage. That's what we're working towards in the state of Texas. 95% of all of those jobs, you realize in the last decade, in the last 10-plus years, over 27% of all the jobs in the private sector in the country were created in the state of Texas.
It's unbelievable.
And 95% of those, Sean, were above the minimum wage. You ought to be talking about the maximum wage people can make.
There's two things that I see as an outsider as I watch Texas with an eye of maybe moving there, in all seriousness. I watch oil on private lands because federal leases are down 50%.
5% of Texas is state or federally
right,
owned.
Got it. Okay. And then the litigation reform you made. Yeah. My niece just became a doctor. She's practicing in Houston.
Yes, sir.
Those two things. New York lost 3.5 million people, and New Jersey lost $70 billion in wealth in a 4-year period.
2 states over the last decade have lost more wealth. More wealth has left California and New York than any other states in the nation.
Yeah.
Why? Well, you know why. Overtax, overregulate, overlitigate, and you finally say, you know what? California is a beautiful state. I mean, what's not to like about those
I lived
views?
there 5 years.
What's not to love about the weather, about the wine? I mean, They got it going in California, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is, there's a point in time where you just go, you know, I can't take this anymore. I'm not going to sit here, be taken advantage of, not appreciated. I'm going to leave.
All right, you're done when?
January of 2015.
You running? President.
I started to say, I told you I gave up on running. I'm riding a bike now.
Yeah, no, that's a good line. But are you thinking about running for president?
Keeping the option open.
You are.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
you want to take what happened in Texas, you want to take that story around the country and say can you do that on a national basis?
2014 is the real focus right now, and that is the message we're taking into Iowa, where Terry Branstad's going to win going away, but they got a United States
Senate. Are you going to mention
Senate.
New Hampshire and South Carolina next?
We'll be into South Carolina. I don't know whether we're going to be into New Hampshire or not, but chances are that's a state that obviously will be receptive to that message about freedom. I mean, live free or die. They get it up in New Hampshire.
They do. They do. All right, Governor, great to see you.
Good to be
I'm
with you,
really
Sean.
happy for your success. I hate seeing Americans suffering needlessly.
Absolutely. And they don't have to.
And they don't have to. Good point. And, Governor, thank you, and we will be.